Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube as we look ahead to Wimbledon at the All England Club coming up on June 27th. Big major inside of tennis, and let's break it down with Kenny Ducey of the Action Network. And Kenny, good to see you again. First on the men's side, Novak Djokovic. He is the favorite once again. He won the French Open. A, do you think Novak can win this? And B, is there anybody you see that could maybe trip him up somewhere along the way?
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting tournament because just, if you're a casual follower, you had Alexander Zverev, who you probably noticed turned his ankle and is out for this tournament. He suffered the injury against Rafael Nadal at the French Open. They have banned Russian competitors, so no number one Daniil Medvedev, no world number, the top 10 player Andrei Rublev. The top 10 is ever changing right now because points are being dropped. And in this Wimbledon tournament, there are no ranking points up for grabs. So it's going to be interesting in that regard. I think Novak Djokovic wants to win another Wimbledon. There is so much discussion around the career Grand Slams. I think this is a very prestigious tournament, that's how they pronounce it there at the All England Club, prestigious. And, it is going to be something where I think a lot of players will care. There's still a lot of prize money. So I know that, in tennis, oftentimes effort, competition level is something that we have to talk about, unfortunately. But this is definitely something here where I think all the players should be pretty engaged. If I'm going to pick one guy to trip up Novak Djokovic, though, I think it has to be Matteo Berrettini. He did take a set off him in the final last year, but Berrettini is truly the best grass court player in the world right now and the most in form anyway. I do think Novak Djokovic still can beat Berrettini on grass, but there is something to be said for the fact that this guy has only lost 3 times on grass, really, in his last 3 grass court seasons. We had one that was canceled due to COVID. He's been unstoppable. I think that's going to be the biggest foe in the way of Novak Djokovic. And when you look at the odds, they represent that, but they didn't represent that about a week ago, which is pretty shocking. So I think Djokovic, very deserving favorite here. And if I have to, if I had to put all my life savings on one person to win, it would be Novak Djokovic.
Now, Berrettini, you mentioned, is 11-2 odds. He's second behind Djokovic. Third is Rafael Nadal. He's always going to be in that conversation. We talk about Djokovic. He's at plus 650 to win Wimbledon. What about Nadal's chances, you think, Kenny, to win this?
I think Nadal has a good chance. And again, we talk about, why Rafael Nadal is here, right? If this were, especially without the ranking points, especially given the fact that, he's done well enough in the last calendar year to get himself into the top 5, I don't know if he would really play because his foot is a big issue, right? His foot, he had to take shots to numb the pain in the foot during the French Open. He still managed to win it. It was remarkable. So I think that he's here for a reason. He's here because he wants to complete that calendar Grand Slam. Rafael Nadal is definitely eyeing that calendar Grand Slam with Wimbledon and with the U.S. Open, something that Novak Djokovic failed to do last year. The thing here is Nadal, a very good slicer. You've got to be a good slicer on this surface. You have to have good touch. But I'm not sure this is the best surface for Rafael Nadal. I think a slow hard court, certainly clay court, are good places to back him. I do think that if he matched up against Matteo Berrettini with his power would overpower Rafael Nadal, hit him off the court. We saw this. We've seen this many times. We saw it in 2014 when Nick Kyrgios beat Rafael Nadal here at Wimbledon, right? You have a big overpowering game. You can beat Nadal despite the fact that he has legendary defense. So even a guy like Carlos Alcaraz, who has little grass court experience, or Hubert Hurkacz, or Felix Auger-Aliassime, I think any of those guys could beat Rafael Nadal. So for that reason, I think that he is appropriately priced. I think he's going to be gunning for this calendar slam, and he's got a lot to play for here. And there's a reason, again, why he's playing here. But I ultimately think that Rafael Nadal is not my pick to win Wimbledon.
One other man, at least on the men's side, to talk about is Carlos Alcaraz. You just mentioned 8-1. He only got to the second round last year at Wimbledon. You mentioned not a lot of grass experience, but what do you think Alcaraz can do? One of the young guns on this tour.
Yeah, I think he can do a lot. I really do believe still to this day, nothing has changed in the last 2 months. If you have to give me, if I have to pick one tennis player to win one set for me, it's going to be Carlos Alcaraz. I think he's the best player in the world right now. And again, while he doesn't have that grass court experience, he has so much power. His forehand is one of the biggest on tour. He has no weaknesses, and he's improved his serve drastically over the last even just 4 or 5 months. When you look at last year's results, this guy was losing to pretty terrible players. He lost at Winston-Salem last year, I think, to Michael Emer or Emil Ruusuvuori. He was losing matches. He dropped sets to Peter Gajowczyk. Last year, right, he showed us how good he was. but that is not an accurate representation of who he is. I mean, he is still growing up, and he's still forming as a human being. And I think that he is way more better equipped here, better equipped to beat a Rafael Nadal on this surface than he was a year ago, or beat even some of the top 30 players in the world. So I give him a very fair chance here. And grass is a very interesting surface. This is why you get prices like this. Alcaraz is not going to be plus 1,000 for the U.S. Open, right? But he is plus 1,000 for grass because there's skepticism here because it's a new surface, a surface that players don't play a lot. But I think that is also sometimes where you can get some pretty good value. And I think that he's a guy that he was the talk of the world really for a month ago, right? Coming into the French Open, no one's talking about him now. Maybe this is the time to go take a shot on Alcaraz.
On the women's side, Kenny, Ashley Barty, she won Wimbledon last year. She suddenly retired. So you're going to have a new winner this time around. And Iga Swiatek, the favorite here, odds-on favorite. You're going to back her to win Wimbledon?
I think you have to. I mean, I'm definitely going to be talking about some other women that could win this tournament, but Iga is definitely hands down the best player in the world, and it's not even close. Her defense is insane. She makes no mistakes on the tennis court. And while she has a great game for clay because she has the touch, she can mix in all sorts of different shots, put a lot of topspin on the ball. She also does have these sweeping ground strokes that can really help her on this surface. And I do think that it's going to be very difficult to get one by her. I think Ons Jabeur, the second likeliest player to win. She was plus 2,000 about a month ago. But Ons Jabeur, her grass court resume is pretty great. 54-16 across all levels in her career. 15-2 over the last two seasons. 10-2 last year. 5-0 this year. She just won Berlin. So I certainly think if there's going to be one player to step up to her, it is Jabeur. But like Alcaraz, right? Iga Swiatek's very, very young, and she has had these bouts with these players. Ons Jabeur, Maria Sakkari. These are players that have beaten Iga Swiatek before. And then they step up to Iga Swiatek, present day Iga Swiatek, and just get rolled over. So I don't know what's going to happen here if Jabeur and Swiatek do match up. I do think that that's what we're going to eventually see, and I would hope that it's a fun match. I would hope that Jabeur has a chance here, but we did see in Rome, right? They met in the final there, and Jabeur lost 6-2, 6-2. So, and obviously that was on clay, and perhaps Jabeur with her big serve, big forehand, it's a little bit better of a surface here, but still. I think you got to say you have a player, the second likeliest player to win is at plus 900, and they lost 6-2, 6-2 the last time they met the favorite. I mean, I think that it's pretty cut and dry here. That Swiatek is the favorite for a reason, and she is a big one.
Now, a couple other names below Swiatek, Coco Gauff, also Simona Halep. What do you think their chances are to win Wimbledon?
I really like Coco Gauff. I think this could be her year. I mean, look, she's only 18 still. And, she really has proven herself on all surfaces. But this year in particular, 23-12, we've seen her take a different approach. Obviously, she made the final of the French Open and did not drop a set until she got, again, rolled over by Iga Swiatek, which she does that to everybody. And, Gauff, though, has eliminated some of the lapses in her game. We saw last year she would lose focus for times in the match. We're not talking about, arguing with the chair umpire, Nick Kyrgios types of lose focus, but she dropped her level. She dropped sets along the way. It was never an easy win for her, but all of her wins this year have been very easy, at least the ones over the last 2 months. She did lose to Ons Jabeur in a very hotly contested match in Berlin. We just talked about how good Jabeur is. So I think it's fair to say you have to put Coco Gauff up there with the 5 best players in the world, the 5 likeliest players to win this tournament. She has had success at Wimbledon. Obviously, that's where her coming out party was. She beat Venus Williams 13-4 across all surfaces across all levels on this surface. So, I mean, she has as good a chance as anybody. Really, that's the truth. If Iga Swiatek pulled out today, I might pick Coco Gauff to win Wimbledon. I think it's her time. I think it's either this year or next year, but it's going to happen. Swiatek can't win every match, Kevin. It seems like she can, but she can't.
Finally, Serena Williams, 16-1. What kind of shot do you give Serena? We know her resume, what she's done. Obviously, injuries have derailed her age a bit, but where do you put Serena? One last run or not?
I think she'll make a run. I do. I think that when you talk about grass, when you talk about players coming back on grass, we saw it even, last week with Roberto Bautista Agut on the men's side. Like this guy hadn't played in months. We see him come out on grass and it's like nothing has changed. It's because it's a quick surface. You don't have to grind out points. It doesn't really test your stamina, your physicality And I think that's very good for Serena Williams. We know for her entire career, she's relied on that massive forehand, that massive serve, right? She overpowers everyone when she steps on the court. And we saw her, yesterday play doubles in Eastbourne. She looked pretty good. And I think ultimately, as long as she's landing that serve and that forehand, and that's one thing that no matter on the court, off the court, in game action, out of game action, like you can practice that on your own, right? She's been working on that serve. She's, that's an easy thing to simulate match type serve. So I think that certainly she can win a few matches, but I think when it comes down to the nitty gritty here, maybe she gets into the fourth round, she meets a Simona Halep, she meets a Sakari, she meets a Jabeur, a Coco Gauff. She's not winning that match. I'm sorry to say it for all the, all the greatness that she's brought to this game and all the fanfare, all the people that are rooting for her. I'll be rooting for her, but man, it's going to be really difficult for her to beat one of these top class players just without much, match fitness. You're going to need to be built for a 2-week run to win Wimbledon. You're going to need stamina. You're going to need that energy reserve to dig in to a long 3-set match, a few grueling 3-set matches. I don't know if Serena has that right now, just having not played in a year. So, ultimately, I think she'll win a few matches. I do, because I think this is a great service for her. It's very smart to come back. If Roger Federer can, on like one leg, could win a few matches last year at Wimbledon, I think Serena Williams certainly can as well. But I don't know about her winning it. But maybe there's a surprise quarterfinal appearance on the cards.
Kenny Ducey, he covers tennis, among other things, for the Action Network, and great job covering the sport. We had him on for the French Open a few weeks ago, and he's got all the coverage for Wimbledon right now. You can check him out at the Action Network. Kenny, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Great being here. Thanks.
All right, that is Kenny Ducey. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot for watching this Wimbledon preview right here on Vegas Insider.